There used to be a device called television sans pictures. It's called radio. The radio played a big part in my early childhood. We didn't have a TV, so radio was a good source of entertainment because you didn't have to read anything. Radio goes back a lot further than you might think. Marconi gets most of the credit, but he only worked on the wireless telegraph using radio-produced dots and dashes. Between 1900 and 1920, the first technology for transmitting voice by radio was being developed. On Christmas Eve in 1906, Reginald Fessenden is said to have broadcast the first radio program. He played the violin and read some passages from the Bible. Didn't win any awards, but at least it was better than static. When I was a kid, we had two places where we listened to the radio. The main location was in the living room of my home at 525 Pine Street. It was a console radio and record player. It only played 78 RPM records. The other radio was in the kitchen on a small table where I could face the wall and eat my Saturday morning breakfast while listening to my favorite programs. It was 1950 and radio was big, but being chased with that newfangled radio with pictures, television. I was 7 years old in 1950, and I wasn't listening to music. That was the stuff you hugged a girl and walked around the floor. None of that foolishness for a red-blooded, girl-hating boy. Years later, I changed my mind. On second thought, it wasn't my mind that was changing, it was my hormones. On Saturday morning, it was eggs and bacon and Big John and Sparky.
Hi, hey, hello there. Hi, boys and girls. Hi, kids. Hey, get in here right now because it's time for the party with Big John and Sparky.
And later, Andy Devine and Andy's gang.
Punk, you're a magic twanger, Froggy.
Now, I was always jealous of that dang frog. I didn't have a magic twanger. And if I'd had one, I wouldn't known how to plunk it. Of course, that all worked itself out later. And then there was the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger.
The masked man's faithful Indian companion was Tonto, played by Jay Silverheels, a Mohawk Indian from Canada. Now, it's told that Tonto decked the Lone Ranger when he found out that Tonto in Spanish-speaking countries means stupid. The Lone Ranger was played by Earl Grazier on the radio, but the best-known actor was Clayton Moore, who played on television. Now, I have a couple of stories about Clayton Moore. Towards the end of his career, Moore had a contract dispute and he had to give up wearing the mask, the iconic mask of the Lone Ranger. He had to wear sunglasses instead of the mask. I once met Clayton Moore when I was working in Indianapolis. I was using him in a corporate show we were doing, and I picked him up at the hotel he was staying in, and when he opened the door, he was wearing the sunglasses and his gun belt and nothing else. He may have had too much to drink. Now here's a trivia question for you. What was the name of Tonto's horse? Just leave the answer in the comments. You won't win anything, but you'll be famous. Later at night, we listened to
Lights Out, everybody. It is later than you think.
They had to fire that announcer because he talked too slow. You already know I'm a big science fiction fan, so I had to listen to There was a big discussion back then. Which stimulated your imagination more, radio or a book? I don't know, but I do know that my imagination couldn't come up with the sound effects and spooky voices I heard on Lights Out. Later, as television started to get hold, the discussion became, which is better, radio or television? Well, the incredibly talented Stan Freberg put a lid on that with a radio commercial back in 1965.
Radio? Why should I advertise on radio? There's nothing to look at, no pictures.
Listen, you can do things on radio you couldn't possibly do on TV.
That'll be the day.
All right, watch this. Okay, people, and now when I give you the cue, I want the 700-foot mountain of whipped cream to roll into Lake Michigan, which has been drained and filled with hot chocolate. Then the Royal Canadian Air Force will fly overhead towing a 10-ton maraschino cherry, which will be dropped into the whipped cream to the cheering of 25,000 extras. All right, cue the mountain. Cue the Air Force. Cue the maraschino cherry. Okay, 25,000 cheering extras. Now, you want to try that on television?
When we got a TV set in the early 50s, there was only one channel, WDEF, and it didn't have any program, just the test pattern. Well, the test pattern was a wonderment to my young eyes. We put a radio on top of the TV to listen to Sky King. Otherwise, I would have been really bored.